Yo, what up? This is CT's RPT, Real Prison Talk with Wes. And we all know that I live in a halfway house. This is my room in a halfway house. I just came home from prison. I've been here about 12 weeks now. So I'm really just still getting back used to life on the outside. I remember somebody had asked me in one of my earlier shows, how was the adjustment or transitioning back to society? And to be honest with you, I'm still transitioning. It's sad because I've actually grown accustomed to that prison shit, that jail life. And I can remember that first day in, when I was looking around that shit, and I said to myself, I can't get used to this shit. And slowly but surely, I got used to it. So now when I started seeing these new kids come in, and they'd have that, I can't get used to this shit look on their face. I used to remember when that used to be me. And I just be looking at how crazy shit was looking and how fucked up the environment was. And don't get me wrong, the prison system is meant to be a punishment for those who break the law. So I understand why it's not pleasant. But then, I do believe that it's a lot of over sentencing that goes on. It's a lot of racial injustice that goes on, especially depending on what prison we talking about and where it's located at. I do believe it's a lot of abuse of power that goes on in prison, along with a lot of other injustices, inequalities, and unfairness. So when you add all of that up and combine that with all the shit that the system is already implementing to ensure that your stay there is a punishment and not a vacation, then you have one of the most uncomfortable places to live on earth. But I guess that's why, they make simple shit or shit that should be simple so difficult, just little shit like being able to see your family and get visits from your peoples. They make, I know Connecticut, they make that shit so hard. They make it to where basically your people's gotta jump through hoops to get on your visiting list. To where they start feeling like they in jail, all the shit they had. They gotta do background checks on them and shit. And a lot of time that shit would deter a lot of motherfuckers. Be like, you know what, I just see that motherfucker when he get home. And I went through that. I went through that a lot. They actually tried to tell my older brother that he couldn't come see me. This is my blood brother, not blood on some gang shit. I'm talking about blood, same mother, brother. And I mean, obviously they didn't know who they was fucking with because he wasn't going for that shit. He the type of motherfucker oh yeah, that's how you want to play. Well, I'll go over your head and see how he feel about it. And if he want to play, I'll go over his head and see how he feel about it. And long story short, he got on that visiting list. You know what I mean? Because he just different like that. You know what I mean? But I got to the point where I don't even complain about a lot of the shit, injustices and shit anymore, because I started to notice that no matter how hard or bad you think your time is, it's always someone somewhere worse. So basically, no matter how bad you think your situation is, it can always get worse. You heard the homie from Florida said that they don't even get paid for their labor. Here I was complaining about getting paid the 75 cents a day that I was getting. And you got a dude who's getting paid nothing for the same amount of work, or maybe even more work, because I swear I feel like it's the less they pay you, the more harder they work you. I feel like that's their rule of thumb, and if that's what they go by, I can only imagine how hard they work you when you working for free. And I remember a lot of the shit that they used to have my bunkie do just because they knew they had him by the balls, you know? They knew he was a lifer. He been down 20 something years already. He had nobody out here on the outside helping him out. So he needed that little 75 cents a day to live, just to survive, just to be able to buy himself a few soups when he got paid in 2 weeks. And they knew that that was his predicament, and that's why and how they used that against him. They knew I wasn't going for that shit. They know the difference between the dude that got the job just because parole put it on his OAP and a dude that got the job because he needs the money. And as horrible or as messed up as that is, even in that lifeless predicament, I will always tell him, could be worse. I remember when I was in the gang block, we was in the max, 23 and 1. I used to tell a lot of my homies in there that that trip to the Superbacks is just one fight away. And then when we came up, we graduated out of the gang block and was in population, I used to say the same thing to the homies in population. That trip to the gang block is just one gang activity away. And even here in the halfway house, that trip to prison is just one wrong move away. I could go home, you know, and I go home and get it fucked up. That trip to prison is right there waiting for me. You're never in the clear. I've been here for roughly about 12 weeks. And every week somebody goes back to prison. Some weeks 2 or 3 people get sent back. And that's because they must have forgot about that pain and that struggle that's waiting for them in there. And this is going to sound crazy, but I try to keep a little piece of prison inside me wherever I go. Because I don't want to ever forget where I came from. I don't want to ever forget what's waiting for me inside of there and will always be waiting for me. And that's why I said to myself this time, I'm going to give myself a shot. I'm going to give myself a chance. Because the last time I did my little 3 years, I came home, jumped right back into the field. So this time I got sentenced to a lot more than 3 years. Had enough time to sit back and think about a lot of shit. And I said to myself, it's a million people out there doing the right thing. They doing it right and they still get into their bag without having to look over their shoulder while they get to it. So I said to myself, Wes, you ain't no dumb nigga. Why don't you give yourself a shot this time? Because I ran out of jail my last bid and I got right back to playing. Like there was some type of time limit on his lifestyle or some shit. When in all actuality, The streets is gonna always be there. It's not like if you don't come home and get right back to it, you're gonna lose that opportunity. It ain't like a job offer where the employer call you and be like, yo, this job offer's on the table right now, take it or leave it. It's never gonna be like that. So it should never be no rush to get back to the streets. Because just like I said, the streets is gonna always be there waiting for me. Just like that cell is gonna always be there waiting for me. The decision is yours. On that note, we're gonna wrap it up. Make sure you do the right thing and hit that subscribe button if you haven't done it already. If you have, I appreciate the love. You can follow me on Instagram, wes.smith.129. Until next time, peace.